Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Six minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's rock and roll this evening right here on 107.1 FM. Guess what? I'm here with you guys. It's the 25th day. It's almost the end of January already. We might as well write this month off. It's done. I don't know. Time is flying, man. I don't know. Gosh. Uh, by the time we go like this, that's going to be the end of the 1 hour for tonight. How are you guys doing? All of you. Hope you're doing fine. Share the link. We're going to rock and roll this evening. We're talking about issues. Who get vexed, let them vex. They can jump in the old truck and drive around and talk dotishness, the usual thing. It's called emotional politics. And we don't do that here. We don't do emotional politics. We go in, we fight. And if you want, we go in the gutter. Sometimes we can do that too. Very well also. I don't know where that came from. I feel for a second I'm sitting in my chair like I'm driving an old truck. Some people just have nothing else to do, nothing better to do. They don't understand politics. They get involved in it. They get all emotional. Their bumps raised. They do all manner of things, and they feel they could say to people, "Oh, if you don't support their candidate, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that." Some of them said that they wouldn't even vote for Norton if he's a presidential candidate. Some of them said they'd rather support the PPP. Come on. Where are all these emotions and emotional politics coming from? Somebody just jump out the blue moon just like that. You don't even know who they are. They have no track record. I don't play that kind of politics, guys. I don't. Sorry about that. I just thought I'd get it off my chest. While we begin the program, good evening to all of you. Thank you for sharing the link. If you are in your cars right now, drive safely. Good evening to you. If you're in your minivan down Flatbush Avenue, Church Avenue, do they have the dollar vans there still? Is it still $1 from Church Avenue, head all the way to still love being at Kings Plaza. Lots of things happen at Kings Plaza. Movies. Sorry about that. I'm on the air for a moment. Good evening, Rajendra Dinat. How are you? Colleen, Isaacs, and Samugan. All of you. Mary O'Brien, Eon Harry. Let me see here. Who else we can say hi to? I don't really want to say hi to Carl Miller. Forget about Carl Miller. He's disgusting. I don't mean disgusting in that sense. You know, people get very sensitive. But Carl, we really do appreciate you joining us. Miss Jones, how are you? Beryl Crawford, Rebel Gal. Good evening to you, Rebel Gal. All of you, good evening. Brenda, let's see. She's watching us tonight. Brenda, how are you doing? Good to see you. Brenda Casey, Brenda Braithwaite, Penelope Hudson, Sparkling Wells. I'm just saying hi to all of you, Deborah Lynch. You guys don't get upset if your names are not mentioned. Renee McKenzie, Talbot, Annette Cummings, all of you. Good evening to all of you. Thomas Anderson. Tom Anderson, how are you doing? All of you, good evening to you guys. We're going to rock and roll. Brennan Thompson, Heather Westmus, Waldron. Waldron. Lachman Aziz, salam alaikum. You know, I like that thing. Rajan, Bim, salam alaikum. Walaikum assalam. And then I go off. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And people just go crazy because of my accent. I don't know why. Anyways, I want to take this opportunity to thank my relatives out in Guyana. I think I got one or two relatives out in Mocha. They sent me a nice barrel. I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy. Guess what? I have a surprise for you guys this evening. I didn't tell you guys anything at all. Nothing. I told you guys absolutely nothing. I have someone, a member of parliament. And this member of parliament is one of the hardest working members of parliament they have in Guyana. She is there. She's on the ground. She's with the people. One of these days, she should run for president. I am saying it. One of these days, she should run for president. Before Lemon, who's back on the job, mind you, before we bring this MP on, Take a guess who that person is. I notice Jay Sean Campbell gone. Bossman Goliv gone. They don't know everybody, Allen. Who you guys think it is coming on? One of the hardest working. On the ground, take off your boots, take off your shoes, pull out your nails, no long nails. Go, and she is there in the trenches. She's not concerned about what she's wearing or how she look. Whether she got to take off she wig, she take it off. Dash it in the corner. She gone. With makeup, without makeup, with makeup, without glasses. She's right there. She is right there this evening. Oh my gosh. My gosh. How are you doing, Honorable Member of Parliament? How are you?
Good evening. I'm blessed.
I know. Were you ever on this show or a long time back? Which one?
A long time back.
A long time back. Gosh. How are you? And Happy New Year to you and your entire family.
Happy New Year to you too, Mark, and your viewers and your family. I am blessed, as I said, trusting God each day and doing what I can for the people of Guyana.
Absolutely. Look, almost 99% of our listeners already knew that you were on. Miss Bess, Miss Bess, Miss Bess, Miss Bess. Soon they might be saying, maybe in another 5 years, who knows, Best Nima flew best for president. Nima flew best for leader of the PNC. You never know. You never know. Good to see you, though.
Good to see you too. And good to see your
What's the
viewers and paying attention to them.
You're paying attention to them.
Yes,
we
we
have
are.
also going to be joining us for a couple of minutes, Attorney Shalon Washington. I'm not sure if Miss Washington is from Mocha. Miss Washington, good night. You're from Mocha too?
Good night, Mark. You know very well where I'm from. We're from the same town, Linda.
Miss Blue Bess, let me introduce you to Attorney Shalon Washington.
Hi, Miss Shalon. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Miss Bess. It's my pleasure meeting you.
Miss Washington, you start off with the first question to Miss Bess. I'm going to leave it up to you. I'll watch you guys for a couple of minutes. Let me get off the screen. Go ahead. Take it over.
Hi, Miss Bess. This is my first time meeting you. Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your experience in politics so people will know who they're interacting with on the show? I mean, some of them probably have heard about you before, but could you just introduce yourself to the audience? Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am a teacher by profession. I am a parent. I'm a God-fearing woman. I've been involved in politics from very young, one of those teenagers who would be in the community doing the little odds and ends when they have the older people there at their meetings. I'm a person that loves sports. So during my time, I've been secretary for football club, always doing something to enhance my community and help the people develop. I'm very passionate about youth development and making a difference in the lives of people. My experience to outflow the big stage of politics came in 2020 when I was elected to go to Parliament. I can tell you Parliament is not what I expected. I expected to have a little more decorum and, be more professional and all of that. But it's a new stage in terms of experience with the way in which people behave in the Parliament. But I love the challenge.
I mean, that's a really, really impressive resume that you've laid out to the audience tonight. I myself, I'm impressed. We just have maybe one thing in common I've noticed because I've served on the football team as a president back in the earlier the 2000s. So that's really, your resume is really impressive in terms of your experience in politics. Could you tell the audience, because you did mention politics, and I've seen some of the audience, they are familiar with you. So some people know you. I saw one person actually said you're one of his favorite. So since some of the audience are already familiar with you, could you explain to them, because we come on this show very often and we speak about the politics in Ghana. We speak about the way some of the ministers and even the president himself have treated women in the past. And we have seen that like on numerous occasions, especially with the Dharam Lal situation. Could you tell the audience, what is your experience as a woman in politics, in the political arena? What has it been like for you as a woman?
As a woman, it has been challenges. Sometimes you meet people who are prejudiced against you because you're a woman, especially in the parliament, the way in which the government ministers would hurl their slurs and their remarks, insultive remarks across the floor is very much unacceptable. I'm a no-nonsense person, and I make that clear very early up front. I will not leave my home and allow anybody to disrespect me in any way. And I would say that to women out there, we should not allow people to disrespect us. We should stand up and let them know exactly what we stand for. I do not tolerate in any way the things that I see happening in Parliament, like my parliamentary colleagues. We don't accept such behaviors. These people on the government side operate as though they don't have mothers, they don't have sisters, they don't have female relatives, with the things that they would say, and it come out so easily out of their mouths. It's as though it's something that they are just accustomed to. They've groomed themselves into being these pigs in the way they operate. But again, as women, we have to stand up to them, and we cannot continue to allow them to proceed with the disrespect. And I don't hesitate to tell them as is. The things that they would want to say across the floor, I dare them to come on the opposite side or come out of the parliament to say it. It's not something that I will accept. And I wouldn't encourage women to accept it.
You know, I'm happy that you're saying that, and I want the audience to pay attention to what you're saying, because for the longest time, people have been disrespecting female politicians in Ghana, and Guyanese sometimes take these things lightly and they don't point it out. So sometimes it's very important to have people point these things out and let people understand that it is wrong. For instance, the comment by the disgraced minister Dharam Lal. Dharam Lal had made the dildo comment to the minister, the female parliamentarian. And I think that was the utmost level of disrespect that you could find, because it's sexual in nature. And she's a religious person. And, you know, people did not readily point that out, but that's something that you should stand up against, call it out first of all, and stand up against it. And I want to ask you a question, because you said you're a no-nonsense person, and I'm glad you said that, because we need people like you who are going to stand up for what is right and, you know, ensure that people are staying in line, they're staying in their place and doing what is right. So I want to ask you, during your years in Parliament, or how long you've been there, have you noticed conduct that you would say, well, we need to call this out, we need to speak up? I mean, like specific types of conduct. Like, I'm not there, but from time to time I would see things on the news, or I would see things on the internet. So do you have any specific type of conduct that you would say today, like, we've been noticing this, and this is something we have to pull out, we have to weed it out from our midst, and you know, as women, we have to stand up against it. People need to respect female parliamentarians. They need to show them the utmost of respect, and not just the parliamentarians, but females generally in Ghana, but more in particular, the ones in leadership. So are there any specific instances that you would want to point out here tonight?
Yes, the incident with Dharmlal, I recall myself and Honorable Cathy Hughes had taken a petition to the Parliament concerning disciplining his behavior. These ministers don't care what come out of their mouth. I recall sitting there and hearing Kwame McCoy, I can't say honorable because there's nothing honorable about him, talking about big panty in the Parliament, calling people whore in the Parliament, um, and saying things that is totally unacceptable, and they're supposed to be national leaders. And again, I keep asking myself, are these people really human beings? Do they have female relatives? Do they have a mother? Do they have sisters? That these things can come out so easily out of their mouths with no regards. There's this other member of parliament, Mr. And is Anand Pasada or something is his name. One of the things that really drew my attention to him is that he's an aged man, and this man operates as though he lives on the street in the ghetto or some way and have no respect, and he doesn't care what comes out of his mouth. And recently, quite recently, he had some remarks to say in the parliament, and whatever little respect I may have had for him as a mature big man, it went right through the window, because you're supposed to be a leader by example, and you are disrespecting women in the highest forum in Guyana, our parliament, and it's coming out their mouths like ABC. And the amazing thing is that there are females on their side of the house who sits there and say absolutely nothing. They don't say anything to caution them, to chide them, to conduct themselves in a better way. And like I said, I do not tolerate such. There was even a recent post where I spoke about it today with Newsroom. Imagine you're having a place to dine, and I want people to understand not only in the parliamentary chambers that these behaviors occur. You're outside, they're outside dining in the eating area. And would you believe the horror of me seeing last evening a video surfacing to portray propaganda from the parliament, and it is implicating one of our female MPs. And I'm saying that is unacceptable, because the video, based on talking with the technician, didn't come from someone's camera. It came from the cameras that are in the halls of the parliament, where the parliament is being held. So how is it that Newsroom got access to this camera to take out footage to make a propaganda on the media and put it out there to implicate a female MP? And I said to the clerk today, I don't ever feel protected in the parliament. I literally look for camera in and out the washroom, and anywhere I go, I check to see what is happening, because of this abusive behavior that these people continue to portray. We have to be very cautious and observant, and of course, take no nonsense.
I got one question. I'm pretty sure the audience are wondering also. You said the video of the female, the video was tending to implicate the female. And
Yes.
I'm wondering, I don't know if you could, but would you mind elaborating on that video? Because, as
It
much
was,
as we stand to protect women, women must also know that they should be held to a higher standard also, and not be caught up in situations where people would lower their thinking about that person or think any less of that person. Because I know that, I don't know if the other video has anything to do with what you're saying, but there's another video that is circulating with a female MP, a PPP female MP. I hope it's not that one that's going around the internet, but that's painting that female MP in a very negative light. And I think people would have seen that one, but that one, that female, I don't know if Mark is gonna, if that video is gonna surface on this show or what,
Well,
because I know.
let me just step in that no such video is being circulated by any PPP MP. I think what the PPP is doing, they're circulating a video about an opposition MP who
yeah,
fell ill and had to be rushed to the hospital. They are running with all manner of questionable allegations and rumors about the reason why that MP was rushed to the hospital. But they are in no position. They are in no position, absolutely no position to be criticizing people about slurred speeches and these sort of things when the likes of Anand Prasad can't even talk properly. God in heaven knows how he ended up in parliament.
Okay, but I wanted to hear what Miss Bess was going to say
Yeah.
about the video she was
No,
referencing.
the video I was referencing is on Newsroom, where they were attempting to show Comrade Cummins, Dr. Cummins, was attempting to injure somebody in the eating area. And that is in response to our statement that was circulated about the disrespect that was meted out to my comrade, Miss Finance. So they tried to come up with something to put against what is being said. And then they said that is from the government ministers. But what I'm getting at, the fact that you can take a video footage from your dining hall where people should be having their lunch and make it into something that is not true and use it for propaganda speaks about the lack of protection and security in the parliament for our females parliamentarians. And I take that very serious.
Miss
Absolutely.
Washington, I know this is your show for tonight. You're asking the question. If you can permit me, just about that very video that the corrupt PPP was able to leak that video out, as MP Best just placed it there, and say to all of us that they leaked that video out to the propaganda PPP media outlets like Newsroom and others. On that video, they only want the audience to make it appear that Dr. Cummings did something so wrong. And they're painting it, they're calling her quote unquote criminal and all manner. Look at her, look at her. They're not telling us what led to that. They're not telling us that Jack there sit down there and suing and whispering. They're not telling us what the other so-called ministers did that prompted that woman, the MP, Dr. Cummings, to defend herself, and rightly
But Mark,
so.
I would interject right there, because if the video was edited to paint Dr. Cummings in a false light, then that would put Dr. Cummings in a position to be able to sue the person whoever leaked that video, because they had no right to paint her because the video was edited. It's not showing exactly what happened. It's a deliberate attempt to commit defamation. It's a deliberate attempt by the person who leaked an edited video. It's defamation. It's libel because you're painting her in a false light. You're not telling the entire story of what happened.
Absolutely. One more thing before I take myself off the screen. Thank you, Lemon. They're telling me to get off. Now, let me say this. They have no moral authority to talk about criminal acts and who is this. The PPP doesn't. Not a Anand Prasad, not a Kwame, not a Jack there, not a Irfan. None of them. In fact, they got to be reminded that Jack Irfan sits there with 19 fraud charges. They banned him or revoked his visa from going to Canada. He never told us why. Is it money laundering? I'm asking a question. No, getting back to Dr. Cummings. They're not going to tell us, remind us, and there's where the opposition should get on and get their job going, to remind the nation that it's the same Dr. Cummings they wanted to kill. They surrounded her vehicle and all manner of stuff in front of the Pegasus. But here what I'm going to do, guys. I'm off the screen again. You guys take over.
I mean, and there's a series of other things that we've been talking about on the show in terms of women, because that's what we're focusing, the lack of respect for the opposition generally in Parliament, the way they treat women, the way they handle them. And I think that's a very good example about what happened to Dr. Cummings. So people would understand that this narrative that the PPP is trying to push, the agenda that they're trying to push, it has no merits, it has no basis, it has no legs to stand on. Whereas if the camera was pointed in the other direction, there would be worse things that we would find out about them and what's going on with them behind closed doors. If those things were to come to light, then I think the whole world would be in complete shock. Well, not really shocked, because with a president with 19 charges, really and truly, you can't be shocked about anything you hear regarding him. So I want to ask you something about the president. Do you think the president himself, because we have spoken about him multiple times on this show with regard to his conduct towards women, do you think he treats women in a respectful manner, or he has any regards for them, or any moral type of respect for women, period?
I don't think he have any kind of respect for anybody, period. Um, I have not seen him dealt with female directly, but I recall his visit to my community and how disrespectful he was when he visited the community to our chairman. And then you would see a number of clippings. Every time he is addressing someone, he sounds like if he's a pig or just hollering, carrying on really aggressively. And it's really uncalled for. Somebody asks a question and you don't know the answer, simply say, I'll get back to you. And always trying to talk more than he ought to talk can cause problems. So that's the only thing I can say about him generally, based on my observation, that he has that kind of aggressive way. And it's not only him. Also, the other ministers operate that way. Like, because nobody else is a minister within their category, quote unquote, they can speak to people anyhow they want. And like I've been saying from the beginning, I always say to people, we have to stand up for our rights. I'm convinced that we could get a whole lot of change if the women decide to come together and stand up for many things in this country. If we, because when women decide to network is a proper network, and we can make things happen. So that's what we need to do. We need to support each other. We need to stand with each other to deal with these things. I don't know if I am permitted, but I want to share another experience of discrimination as a woman.
Sure.
My newly appointed position of studying youth sports and culture. One of the things that struck me in the parliament is that one of the ministers remarked over there that PE teacher is not nobody of no right teacher, is not a real teacher. Just going to say hands up, down, and that's it, and have the students do their exercise. So during my budget speech, I had to highlight to them what it entails to be a physical education teacher, because they run around with the wrong concept that it doesn't have any value. More so, I'm a woman. You got to see the facial expression at them saying what they're saying. You know how they feel, especially being a female, being a physical education teacher.
I believe we have to move away from the way we view things in Ghana. A lot of times people, they don't have the level of respect that they should have, regardless of who you are and what walk of life you came from. The fact is, you're in a position, you're in a public position. You're serving your country, because it's a public service position to be a member of parliament, to be a part of the government. It's a position of service. And I think Guyanese need to change their perception of the way they think about people. They need to honor people more and respect them more. I think for such a long time, we've been going with this type of attitude where we disrespect people, where we're unconcerned. We just say whatever we want to say as a people, as a nation, and not recognizing that, at some point you've got to change. And you've got to advocate for your changes yourself. Guyanese are the biggest advocate for the changes. And like you rightfully said, women have got to come together and they've got to stand up and they have to speak against these things. Every time it happens, you have to speak up about it so that people would recognize, because, a lot of things people don't recognize is wrong. Yeah. There's a lot of things that I see happen in Ghana, and it's most of the times it becomes more evident to you when you've lived in another country or you've been away out of the system, so you can observe it. When you're in the culture, when you're in it, a lot of times you'd miss it. Like, you recognize, and that's good that you recognize some of the things that you would consider wrong, and people would look at it and they would say, well, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I saw once there was a very sexist cartoon in one of the newspapers, and I think Mark had brought it up on this show, most people, I think it was about, they were talking about something, but they used it to depict that situation. They use a woman in bed to depict it. And most people would not see that as a problem, but it is a problem. You're being sexist in that situation. And people, unless you point things out, they don't see it. They're blind to it. So if you keep pointing it out and you keep speaking about it, maybe eventually people are going to get a revelation, and then they're going to wake up, and then they're going to realize, like, hey, we have to stop doing this because it is wrong.
Yes,
All
I
right.
agree with you.
So one of the things I think what we should do, and I want to ask you this: what are some of the things you think women should do to see changes in the way they're treated in Parliament, in the society in Ghana generally? What are some of the things you? I've heard you said one of it already. So what
Yes.
are some of the things you think that we should be implementing in order to see these changes?
First of all, you have a voice, use it. So you speak out. Something is wrong, you speak out against it. The action is wrong, you speak out against it. Secondly, you would have seen our female parliamentarian, our MPs have been writing letters formally to inform people about what is happening and calling for it to have a redress. In the case of the parliament, we know that it is controlled by the speaker of the house, who has his way of doing things. And that's the thing that's troubling to me. Imagine you're in charge of the house and first they're bringing an issue to you and you're not addressing the issue. And so the problems continue to get bigger and bigger. So you have to find another avenue as a female to deal with it. And that is where I talk about support for issues like that. Because if you recognize you've spoken out, you've written, nothing, the person in charge is not doing anything, then it takes more women coming out and speaking out against these issues. It takes women coming out and making their voices heard about these particular issues. Another way we must highlight, because knowledge is power. So if you can highlight some of the challenges you have encountered and keep speaking about them, it will educate the others as they grow, and they will know what they can look for, and they will experience new ones. And so you keep increasing your knowledge, because as you have pointed out, discrimination against women and abuse against women happens in different forms and different fashion. How it might have happened years back, it will have changed now, and now we have technology, so that had a new dynamic to what can actually happen. So those are just a few points I would highlight.
Exactly, and thank you for highlighting that. And I think one of the most effective way in this day and age also to highlight situations affecting women is this same internet. It's doing shows like this, on the internet. Believe it or not, the internet is very powerful. It's one of the most powerful weapons against PPP. You go talk to the PPP and you will see how agitated they are because of people like Mark, or people like Rickford Burke, or all the political influencer, they call them social media influencers, who are bringing the PPP down show by show by show, because the internet is really powerful. It can really break you. And I think the PPP recognizes the power of the internet, so they're fighting in every possible way to see how they can stop it, how they could ease it up. But unfortunately for them, the things that worked in the 1990s and in the early 2000s would not work today, because now you could have somebody all the way in New York in their basement, because that's what they say. Most of those people are in their basement. Somebody in the basement. And I'm being funny here because that's what the PPP usually say. Somebody's in their basement. Every time somebody is weaponizing the internet against them, and they could just run a show and people are going to get information now, and they're more empowered now. So they're not voting for PPP anymore. So, and I saw somebody made a comment about the women in the PPP has no respect for themselves. Because if you have a bunch of men disrespectful to women. You had somebody as like disgraceful Nigel Dharam Lal, very disrespectful, disgraceful towards women, and you stay under leaders like that, and you have a president who don't even know to pronounce a body part of a woman, and who, when Dharam Lal made certain comments, never came to the defense of women. And that's the problem with the president: lack of defense against women. When things are done to disrespect them or disregard them, he never speaks up against it, yet he publicly declares his love for women. How? You have to show people by your action that you actually mean this thing, not by shouting something that has no merits or meaning to it. You understand? So, I think if there are more people like you, more members of parliament like you, women, who are able to come out and speak up against these things, it would empower other women to also speak up. And I think this comes from every single level in society, not just you, but we have the schoolgirls. They're the ones who are coming up for tomorrow. And they're the ones who need to understand how a woman should be treated, how she should be respected and not disrespected. And if you have the disrespect coming from the very top, what type of message are you sending? What type of message do you think this is sending to your students when they look and see the way the president and the head of state and the male member of parliament in the PPP are treating women? What message do you think they're sending to young schoolgirls?
Well, I can tell you for my students, they're most time alarmed and shocked at the conduct and the behavior of these ministers. I also would point out to my class, because I teach sociology too, and I have my one-on-one with my students and my female students also. Those are not behaviors that are acceptable. They're unacceptable. So at all times, you ensure you pay attention to how you're treated, and if you're not treated in a respectful manner, you stay away from that. So it's not something that is going on well. Of course, the students at school would laugh a lot. Anything that saw mispronunciation, they laugh. If slurs are hurled in the parliament and they hear them, they would laugh. I've been looking at the students who've been coming to the house from since Monday. Different groups of students have been coming to observe the budget debate. And when you interact with them and ask, how do you think it was? They would say, shocking. I would never believe that is how people is behave in the parliament. And they said, miss, like today I had a discussion with a young man, and he said, miss, I know that the debate is that somebody would say this happened in this way, and somebody can say, no, it didn't happen in the way. And then who has the strongest argument will win the debate? He said, but not in the parliament. I said, well, if you want to understand it, then you will need to look at some YouTube videos of other parliaments to get a better understanding of the procedures and how it's supposed to operate. Because those young people have been exposed to a whole lot of abuses that were being hurled in the house from the ministers. And all that takes place within there, and it does not send a good message. It does not send a good message. When you leave, I have an issue when I leave my home. I tell people I leave my home with a genuine heart to go and serve, to do what I have to do. I always have my objectives, what I plan to achieve at the end of the day. Those negativity gets to me, especially when you're sitting there and you want to hear properly what is happening, or you want to read something, or you want to jot down something, and then you hear somebody from the other side shouting some foolishness. It is very annoying. And so that's why we continue to speak up, just like my colleague MPs. We've been speaking out. We've been making our voices heard. Yes, I reflect. It is only this year budget speech I did not speak about the treatment of women in the parliament, because I think my colleagues before me would have all addressed the issue of how we are being disrespected by the males on the opposite side. And so I did not go into it. But what I did this year is, again, go and talk one-on-one to the people in charge to let them understand that I would not. be accepting such behaviors.
I agree 100%. Is one of the things I think the audience would want to know. I want to know also because in a lot of countries they ensure that there's oversight. There's some committee that if there's sufficient amount of complaint on an issue, especially coming out from the parliament, because that's where the laws are made, that's where a lot of decisions are made for the country, right? So what I want to know, is there any oversight committee in the parliament itself? Is there a body of women or a mixture of men and women who investigate allegations of abuse against women in the sense of if there's misconduct on the part of a person making insulting remarks that is degrading or derogatory towards, pointed specifically towards the female sex? Is there any oversight committee in the parliament for that?
We have oversight committee. I'm trying to remember the name of the committee because guess why I can't remember the name. It's only one time that committee um came together, I think was to suspend our MPs when we had the disruption in the parliament during that December. I can't remember the name of the committee, but I don't. The committee have not met after then. We have a whole lot of committees on paper, you know.
Wow.
Honorable Jones would have identified. We have a lot of committees on paper, and truthfully, since I've been in Parliament in 2020, I've sat on one committee that have met. The others are still looking. I don't know when or if ever I will have the opportunity to actually sit on a committee to do the work that is necessary. So our parliament is not functioning as the other parliaments are. I had the experience of being among a whole lot of parliamentarians last year, and when I listened to how they would reach once a week and 4 times a month and all of that, nothing gay. Yeah, no. Our parliament only meet to get money.
I would imagine, and I would imagine the committees are not functional like a lot of things in Guyana because you have a non-functioning president, you have a vice president who has usurped the functions of your president. So I would imagine there's a lot of things in Guyana that is non-functional. It's not performing its duty. But I think one of the things that would help you guys is if they would make that committee actually active and it would actually find a way to discipline members of parliament who engages in conduct that is disparaging to women in particular or to anybody, period. I don't think that there is sufficient laws in Guyana to protect women, or maybe ways to enforce procedures and laws to protect women. So I think women are in a very vulnerable, we've always been in a very vulnerable group in the society, plagued with domestic violence, plagued with abuse in terms of verbal abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse. And there's no way to protect women, even from the highest level, parliament, where you would think that people would behave in a civilized conduct and would be where children are, what children are there. You know, someone in the audience was surprised that children are in parliament observing this type of conduct, observing the behavior of people who basically act like animal, have no control over what they're saying or what they're spewing coming out of their mouth. So I think it's very disgraceful. And one of the things is more policies and procedures in place to deal with this type of thing. And I think you're the one, the member of parliaments are going to be the one to first advocate for these things, starting in parliament, and then secondly in the workplace, and then in public places with the way people should treat women. And I think, I don't know if a lot of essays as happened in parliament, but I feel like in Guyana, sexual assaults is something that is not dealt with properly. You understand? It's something that is constantly overlooked. It's brushed to the side. And as you could see with the Dharamlal, I like to reference that because that's like
Sick.
the case. That's like the precedent. That's like the one that you turn to reference. If you want the classical case of where a woman, well, this is in this case, this was a child because she was barely 16 years old. Classic case of SA that was overlooked. And this paints the picture of what happens and give people the idea of what Guyana looks like when it comes to sexual assaults against women and young girls. It's swept under the rug. And I
Yeah.
think you're in the perfect position, and people like you are in the perfect position to implement or push for the implementation of stricter laws, rules, and regulations to deal with those people in parliament who gets involved in this type of behavior. This type of conduct should be immediately, you should be suspended, no pay, and then it's investigated. And if it found that there's merit, you should be forced out of office immediately.
That's how a civilized society will operate. But in Guyana's case, you have the, if you go before the, you got to go to the police to make a report. I can tell you, you go to the station to make a report, depending on the type of officer you meet, they can ask the thing like if you show you the man, they making joke, and that kind of foolishness you would encounter. Secondly, when you come to the court, especially like in the case you've been referencing, Damlal case, I don't even like to call those people's name in my mouth. You could see clearly, and that's what this government has been doing. People they prey on people who have little. They prey on people who really can't defend themselves. So when they commit these acts and it becomes public, even if the family want to proceed or go ahead with the charges, they got to deal with everybody bombarding them. They ain't got money. They got all these social issues. And so a lot of time you find that persons finding vulnerable families, vulnerable women finding themselves in such position, gonna fall to collect this payout. So these predators walking around freelancing, but God don't sleep. I can say it in the tone. These are things that we have to be dealing with when you have a justice system that really don't provide justice for its people. I always recall doing criminology, and they said when you have a case, the time, if you're able to try the matter and move through quickly, then you have a better result. But in the other case, the matter can come up, you're going to go to the court today, you're going to go next month, you're going to go the other month, and you just go in, and the victim feel more victimized, because every time you got dressed to go and deal with this issue and hoping that it can be expedited and finish with so that you can focus on healing and getting yourself forward, you have to be dealing with a whole long, prolonged, drawn out system. And then sometimes when they do try the system, it makes no sense. Indeed, we have a lot of work to do, all these women organizations and so forth. We have a lot of work to do to get to that civilized place that you mentioned earlier.
Okay. I mean, it's difficult. It's a difficult topic, especially when it comes to Ghana. I got another question, and I think this is going to be the last question, and then I'm going to ask Mark. Mark is going to have to appear himself back here. I want to ask you this one question. Do you believe? Because I'm hoping that this will happen sometime, right? This is my hopes. I dream about it. Not back in 1992, what happened in our history, right? I think it's 1992. I don't know, 1992 or 19. I don't even know which one, because it just is almost non-existent in my mind. I'm not talking about when Janet Jagan installed herself illegally, but do you feel like a female president in Guyana would make a difference, would help to make a difference with the way women are treated in our country? A true one, not the one, like I said, not that unfortunate incident that we don't like to look back upon in our history, but I'm speaking about one that is actually elected by the people. Do you feel like that would help to make a difference? Because I'm beginning to feel like one day you might make a very great president for Guyana. Who knows? So, do you believe this would help to make a difference?
Yes, I believe it will help to make a difference because if, well, in Guyana's history, well, except for that one way valid, we have not had a female head of state. And I believe that when we have, or should we ever have, an elected female head of state, you will see a whole lot of difference because it will be the first and they will experience leadership on a different thing. You know, the classic thing about being female, a female. Um, we homemakers, we professionals, we doctors, we lawyers in our own way, because when you have your home to take care of and you have all these responsibility, it helps you with leadership. For me, my experience of managing a home, taking care of my children, as I always tell them, I think I could plan the best budget than the PPP because we always got to cut, paste, fix, and match up and make sure every corner, every end is met and every need is met in your home. Even though you may not have all the financial resources available, you count on a woman taking whatever it is that they have, whatever resources, and making it into something tangible. Now you imagine that skill at the top there. Huh?
I know.
You do a better job at budget. You recognize when we plan our budget, you got one salary you gotta live on for the entire month. You got nobody to run back to or run back to a corner to get extra money, like with this PPPC government doing, make a budget and coming back for more money all the time. But we would have to work with that money given and ensure that we are able to meet our needs for that month. So I know those special skills will add a great touch to the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think women, a woman, a female president would be a wonderful change for Ghana. Because, like the song said, I'm every woman. A woman carry every single skill that you can think about, like you rightfully said. Doctor, lawyer, because you're a doctor, you take care of your children when they're sick. You're an accountant because you have to manage your finances at your home. So I think that would be a great idea. And I think maybe some of your fans, some of the people here on this show are even suggesting that you run for leadership of your party. Anyway, it was a pleasure. It was my pleasure talking to you tonight. But Mark is going to take over from now. It's almost 9 o'clock. And, Mark, look, Mark was like,
I can't believe that you guys locked me out of my own show, so to speak. I was trying to get back in. I was raising my hands at the back. Lemon ignored me. Everybody ignored me, but it was productive. I'm glad that I was ignored tonight. I really appreciate this discussion and the questions asked. But one of the things that you guys have said, that Guyana has never had a real female president. And I think someone who watches this show quite often will be very, very upset about that particular statement, because they might look in the mirror and say, what about me? I was probably the first. Ms. Washington, you did an excellent job indeed. At some time in the future, I hope that we can have a female president elected, one who understands the struggle of the people, someone with all of the attributes as Miss Bess has, being on the ground, understanding the plight, understanding and reasoning with people properly. And I think such a female will make an excellent president. Such a female that knows how to ground with the people in a genuine way, as Miss Bess does. Miss Washington, here, before you go, Miss Washington, before you go, and I know Miss Bess has had a long day and she's busy again tomorrow. I noticed, what's his name again? Charles Ramson, who says a lot of Guyanese are sending things now to their loved ones back in America. I noticed he was throwing a little jab at you that you don't know this. These guys are the last set of people to talk and insult people. But I want you guys to take a look. This is what happens in Guyana's parliament. This is a disgrace. And these people have none whatsoever authority to lecture people about anything. This is what the people are subjected to. This is a shame. And you guys got to listen to this, all of you. I apologize to the singer, the original singer of this song.
Oh, Lord.
Listen to this, please. This is Guyana's Parliament, guys. I don't know whether some of these guys are drunk. I don't know. I don't know whether they're on drugs, whether they sniff cocaine. I don't know. But listen, you guys be the judge.
Suddenly, suddenly, people have new meaning to me. I had loved them all along, never had the chance to perform. Wake up,
Minister,
suddenly, I'm in love.
you've proven the point. You have a great voice to sing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad that you admire my singing voice.
Wait. What is happening in Guyana's Parliament? I hope it is not Julius, that underage schoolboy he's singing to, because the allegations against him on little boys. Miss Bess, what's happening in Guyana's Parliament? Please explain to us. What's happening?
I think the member, because I don't like to call their names, was trying to probably become more famous. But he's already famous for his abuses in the house and his slurs. So trying to do karaoke in the middle of a part of the presentation does not suit well. But I want to say to the people tonight that we will continue to represent you all and continue to stand and do what we have to do. Any one of us on our side of the house can be elected for leadership, and we just have to work together and collectively to ensure that we bring it home and bring a good life for all the people of Guyana.
Well said, Miss Bess, Honorable MP. Very, very hardworking, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. Lots of people appreciate your contributions. Lots of people appreciate your dedication. Lots of people, they see that you're genuine about what you do. And that's the sort of leader or leaders people do admire in every way, shape, and form. You're there with the people during the struggle, during the good times, and the not so good times. One of these days when I meet you in Guyana, I will take to the mic and I'll sing for you. What is happening in Washington? Before we go, are you surprised at that sort of thing you just heard in Parliament?
I mean, I'm not surprised. It's like having a parliament at a rum shop. Because, when you get drunk, you start singing stuff like that. So, I mean, we know that Parliament sometimes is run like a cowboy show. We say cowboy. Because if something is being done in a professional manner, you don't expect somebody go, because, I mean, what is that, a karaoke in Parliament? It's just not professional. It's not giving that you're there to do your job. It's given that you're there to waste people's time. It's like a waste of time, please. It's like going to the rum shop. You go to the rum shop, you drink, you sing. And that's what's happening there. That's what that appears to be. So I think the PPP, these people need to get it together. They need to get it together. And the elections is coming up. So the people of Guyana, you're seeing these unprofessionalism. You're seeing the person you got leading. You can't even say the word cervical. That's all over the internet, by the way. The president cannot speak and say properly the body part of a woman.
The next measure that I want to speak about is one that I'm very excited about. We care tremendously about the women in our society. And one of the issues that has been affecting women across the world is cervical cancer. And
so if the president cares so much about women, you would think he would take the time to learn the actual body parts that he's referencing. So, we see the type of people we have there, and people wake up, Guyanese people. The elections is coming up. I need you to wake up and go out to your numbers and put the the right place. You understand? The palm tree. Put the vote the right place and get the cup out of the way, because it's time for changes. Wake up. It's time for a change. It's a new breed of people we want to have leading the country. New breed. Look, you have people like the Honorable MP here, MP Best. This is the caliber of people we want to see lead in our country. People with integrity. She said she's a God-fearing woman. This is the type of person we want. We want more people who have integrity, who have conscious moral scruples, and not just there to fold their pockets and their friend's pocket. It's time for that to be over. That's false politics. Those people are not there for the people of Ghana. So people, wake up.
Thank you so much, Miss Honorable Member of Parliament. You'll have the last word. And PE teachers are oftentimes the best, and you're also you teach sociology and these sort of things. Don't let any of those pacus who probably went to some mediocre universities and pretending as though they are brilliant individuals. We know who they are.
University of Iflot.
Those pretending to be students of Shakespeare and all manner of things. Miss Bess, again, congratulations and thank you for all that you do on behalf of those people who are in need of proper representation. And oftentimes you do it away from the camera. You're not too concerned about snapping selfies and posting it. People watch your work. People watch what you do. And people appreciate what you do. At least I appreciate, and I know thousands of people appreciate what you do. The last word for this evening as we close off, $1 trillion budget, nothing in there for the ordinary people, whether in Mocha, whether in Georgetown, whether in Port Moran, Blackbush, Linden, wherever it is. Your closing remarks and how hurtful that this so-called budget is for the people.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you, Ms. Washington. It was nice having a discourse. I can get your number from Mark. Mark, please ensure I get her number so that we can talk. To the people of Guyana, I'd say to you, the $1 trillion budget is a step to start getting out the PPP out of office. You need to start getting yourselves together, start talking to your families. We cannot be everywhere all the time, but we have persons all over. Get the message out. It is time for us to rally together to get the PPP out and vote APNU, ASC all the way, because PPP is no good for Guyana. They must go. God bless you all and do have a good night. Goodbye.
Thank you all so much. You just asked for Miss Washington's number. I'm getting a little old and sometimes I get forgetful. Look, her number is right there. Is 718-877-3100. 718-877-3100. She's in Brooklyn, New York, of course. Miss Nima Flew Best, I appreciate it. Next time you're with us, we'll ask you a little bit about your family. You spoke so fondly about your kids, and that is commendable. As a politician talking about family values. We need to hear more of those sort of things. Again, another plus in my book coming from you there, family values and your children. Miss Washington, anything else quickly before we go, because it's your show tonight?
I wanted to say good night to all of the listeners. Thank you guys so much for sticking around with us, and those of you who shared the live and press the like button. And I want you guys to go show the Honorable Minister Bess some love. Follow her. I don't know if she's on Facebook. Follow her. Show support. Show support to our own who are trying, and they're trying to make a difference. Anybody who's trying to make a difference and change the politics in Guyana, support that person, guys. Thank you guys so much, and do have a blessed rest of your night. And thank you, Mark, for being the pot salt tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bess.
Thank you, Ms. Bess. Bye-bye. Yeah. Well, what a show. And they did a great job. The women did a great job. We'll have more of these sort of interactions. Wayne Caesar decided he's going to take the back seat tonight. He's in the audience. Good evening to you, Wayne. Francine Cruz is out of the nursing home. Good evening to you, Francine. And all of you beautiful people. You heard firsthand what is happening in Guyana's parliament. Let me say this. One of the things that is very dangerous, and you've got to keep an eye on the PPP on this one, they are attempting to paint all members of the coalition and supporters of the coalition as criminals. Just imagine these convicts in the PPP, Some of them are in bed with drug lords, money launderers, gold smugglers, and some of them are all part of that too. Believe that they can insult people, they can describe people. Look at what they did to Dr. Cummings there, attempting to describe her as a criminal and all that. That is the same woman they wanted to kill when they surrounded her vehicle in front of Pegasus. Look at the likes of a Kwame McCoy in Parliament. Only in Guyana these things can happen, guys. Only in Guyana. They talk about, what is it, the Durban Park, and it's a waste of money. And honestly, Durban Park should not have been Durban Park anyways. But the PPP has no, they have no moral authority to speak about these issues, right? Because it was Jack Dale who wasted over $200 million on a white elephant, a place up in Skeldon called Skeldon Sugar Factory. White elephant wasted the money. It is Jack Dale who took hundreds of millions of your hard-earned tax-paying dollars and give it to friends and cronies to open hotels and build bridges and all these sort of things. Vagabonds. It is Jack Dale who took hundreds of millions of your hard-earned tax dollars to run a fiber optic cable from Brazil all the way down the Linden Soesdijk Highway and so forth. Nothing happened to that. It is these same criminals in the PPP spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the one laptop per family program that went down the drain. And we can go on and on. The hydro project, same thing. Hundreds of millions of dollars wasted. But take a look at the Linden Soesdijk Highway. I watched briefly this morning Nigel London. Nigel London did a live while he's riding his bike. He's riding bike now. He's a cyclist. But Nigel reminded us about this. Let's take a look at what's happening. This is the Linden Soesdijk Highway. And this is where Jack Dale bust up, split up miles upon miles of this highway to run a cable from the border of Brazil coming through Linden all over the Linden Highway, this long cable to plug up probably in Jack Dale. I don't know, but hundreds of millions of dollars wasted, and this is the condition of the highway. Outside of that, the kids have to walk miles to go to school, even in these modern times. Look at what they did with the David G buses. Take a look at what they did. They have no time with it. In other words, they have no time for young people in the country. Take a look at the school, Linden, unfinished. They have no time for nothing. These are not the people that should be describing people as criminals. Look at Jack Dale. Look at Irfan. Look at these vagabonds. Just take a look at them. And then the other one with a board nest head talking about Dr. Cummings. That if he was there when that same video that was leaked to the PPP newsroom, that guy with a board nest said if he was there, he would have kicked Dr. Cummings. And then they're talking and calling people criminals. I'll deal with that subject and much more later on. Much more. But for now, I'm out of here. God bless you. Have a great night. Thanks to Washington, Miss Shellon Washington. Don't forget her law firm is in Brooklyn. Support her. Give her office a call. If you have divorce, whatever, give her office a call. I've got to go, guys. I got to deal with this criminal PPP regime maybe from tomorrow night. They're getting out of hand now. Way out of hand. God bless you.
Mr. Mark, I believe every word of what Mr. Shu is saying. I am also afraid of Mr. Shu. Mr. Shu, if you are listening, I don't want anybody to harm you. This is a serious thing. Corruption is big. And we Chinese have to stop that. Been bullied by Jack Dale and other government officials to pay bribe. It's been big all over Guyana. A Chinese to pay by bribe. Mr. Xu, I hope you to stay strong. Do not. We respect and salute you for your bravery, for coming up and speak against corruption in Guyana. Thank you, Mr. Xu. We appreciate you, Mr. Mark. 马克，我相信每一句苏先生说的话。我现在很担心苏先生。苏先生，如果你在听我说话，我不想任何人威胁你。圭亚那政府腐败很严重，这个是很严重的事情。我们中国人必须停止被那些政府用武力行贿。苏先生，我希望你能继续你的发表，也希望你在新的一年万事如意。
Yeah, my name is Jasmine Kaldata from CC Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you, so call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
With another one, straight up, blackness I am. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop, registration is the fruit. Mark Ben stop, straight up from the root. Mark Ben stop, who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop, registration is the fruit. Mark Ben stop, straight up from the root. Mark Benz, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benz stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can need it, don't contact the trouble can walk. I who tell the truth, Mark Benz. Defend the ghetto youth, Mark Benz. Radio station is the truth, Mark Benz. Straight up from the root.